Welcome to the STLK in the UTA Jazz Podcast. I'm Conjo. This is Paul. We're back. We're ready.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. It's Monday. And not only is it Monday, but we have a Monday to talk about a lot. I mean, we had 2 games, like we said last time. It was awesome. Back to back.
Really fun games.
So 2 games, for those of you who didn't know, I would hope you guys would know, on Friday night, we faced off against the Los Angeles Clippers. And that was one of the funnest games that I have seen in quite some time.
A really long time. It was one of the most animated I've seen the Jazz players and the stadium in a long time.
Quite some time. The Jazz, defeated the Clippers 120-18, thanks to, Jordan Clarkson hit the game winner, right?
Yes.
And that was a phenomenal shot. But let's not forget Kelly Olynyk.
Wow.
I mean, a corner 3 falls over, fade away. And then, right off the break, just a wing 3 just to put us right back in it. It was electric. I was there and it was just, something I've never seen. And then Clarkson comes in and puts the nail in the coffin and then clamps Kawhi on the other end.
I didn't have that on my bingo card for Friday night. It was Jordan Clarkson either. Just making Kawhi Leonard look like he had no moves at the end of the game.
It was special. And then we go to Saturday night, and for those of you who didn't watch, that's all right. We kind of got taken down.
It was a forgettable game.
Yeah, it was hard to watch. A big loss. Lots to learn though. Mm-hmm. The Suns were Bookerless and Beal-less. KD kind of did his thing. Back-to-backs are tough.
Well, home back-to-back into a road back-to-back. So for those who don't know, in the NBA, if you have a back-to-back, you have to travel right after your first game. So they don't let you travel early in the morning. You have to fly out right after your game. So the Jazz game on Friday finished at 10:30, 11?
Yeah. I mean, it's a 7:30 start. You don't see that very much.
Yeah, exactly. So they might have boarded the plane at 11 or 12. It's about a 50-minute flight down to the Phoenix area. You got to go to your hotel, check in. By then it's 2 or 3. Yeah. Then you got to wake up and you got to go play a team that just had 2 days of rest. It was a really tough spot for the Jazz, and it looked like it all Saturday night. They looked exhausted.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're 1-2.
Not terrible.
Getting 1 win out of that was huge, though.
Yeah.
Especially, just getting 1 win, especially versus that Clippers team. That was special. The Clippers, actually, fun fact, the Jazz have a 11-game home streak against the Clippers.
Really?
The Clippers have not beat the Jazz at home in 11 games.
That's a long time.
That's including playoffs as well.
That's a really good stat then.
And so, that just goes to show we kind of own them, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, let's beginning of the game, Walker Kessler from downtown.
That was special.
That was awesome.
I mean, to start the game, a Walker Kessler 3, I was extremely happy about that. Mm-hmm. And to bring it back to Friday's pod, me and Paul had a little debate about PG, Kawhi. Wow. And for the first, half, it was back and forth. Paul George was getting a lot of free throws. Kawhi was controlled. They didn't get, didn't feel like they were on the floor the whole time. Then the fourth quarter came, and Paul George decided that he wanted to side with Paul on this one. Paul the Paul.
Yes. He didn't miss for 6 minutes straight.
Paul the Paul, it was crazy. I mean, it was back and forth. It was insane. Kawhi decided to come in put a few baskets in. But I also made a prediction that it was going to be a 5-point game either way within the last, at the last 2 minutes of the game. And what did we see?
You were right. And I predicted. Right. So if you remember my predictions, I had the Suns game being a really close one that we pull out, and the Clippers kind of dominating us, kind of flip-flopped. We had a close game against the Clippers. You were just
confused.
I was just really confused, and I didn't understand the schedule.
It was Friday. You were excited for the weekend. You just got it mixed up.
I did. And the Clippers came in. We didn't dominate them, but we kind of handled business, which was really cool to see. And then we go on the road to the Phoenix Suns and get handled.
Yeah. So let's touch on the Clippers real quick. What was important to you, or what did you see that, what kind of led to that win?
Something I really like is John Collins. You actually just told me the stat. 3 straight double-doubles. First Jazz man to ever have 3 straight double-doubles to start his tenure with the Jazz.
Let me repeat that for everybody. 3 straight double-doubles for John Collins. A lot of people have been saying, it's kind of we've been trying to find his role with the team. 3 straight double-doubles, first Jazzman ever. That's an underlooked stat. And I think, as he's finding his role, that's something important that he's doing that we're not even really seeing.
Well, that was my point. I don't know what his role is. I don't know if he knows what his role is. I don't know if Will Hardy knows what his role is, but he needs to be on the floor because he's a really, really good basketball player.
Another stat, Lauri Markkanen is actually the first Jazzman to have 35 points in a game with 12 rebounds and 5 threes.
Really?
And that's actually it's a pretty ESPN stat, throwing as many things as you can.
LeBron's the first guy on his birthday
on a Tuesday. It's that kind of thing.
It sounds like an Andre Karolinko stat, though. I'm surprised he never did that.
That's actually is surprising. I mean, he nearly had a quadruple double a couple times. He's got a bunch of crazy stats.
He does.
But it just goes to show, everyone's kind of doing their thing, kind of figuring it out. Again, I'm still not worse. And that was a great win, especially to go down, where Kawhi and Paul George absolutely took over in the fourth. But that's the thing is the Jazz started out hot. Like we've said before, it's hard to come back when you get such a big deficit at the beginning, which is what we saw with the Kings, which is what, we ended up seeing with Phoenix. But with the Clippers, we came out hot, like really, really hot. And, even though the Clippers had a little run, it was enough where, it wasn't like they were sacrificing a lot. We already had that lead, so it made it close, but we didn't lose it at all. So
no. And another thing I really liked, I think helped us weather the storm is we didn't play our 4-guard lineup that we lit into last week. We didn't play that once, which was really cool to see.
And I saw less zone.
So in the
under on that zone, 17 and a half
hammered
zone
the under.
It had to have hit.
Yeah. I counted off my own personal. I didn't look at the official stats. 3, maybe 4 zone possessions in the first half.
Yeah.
And I don't think I saw it in the second half at all. I think there was one. And it led to a Kawhi 3 in the corner. And after that, we didn't see zone again in the second half. And I love it.
Yeah, that was an awesome game. And then we could touch on the Suns all we want, but we're probably just gonna skim past that one. Hey,
just to recap it. So what happened was the Suns came out and got up 10 or 15 in the first quarter.
Quick.
And we did not get within single digits again. It was one of those games where it's like, oh, the Jazz are going on a run. They cut it 2, and then you look at the scoreboard and it's like, we're only down 18. And I'm like, oh, this kind of feels out of hand. And that's kind of how it felt all game, where you're just playing catch up, but no matter what you did, it didn't really translate to anything. And it was the Jazz transition defense, I think, that killed them. I believe they got outscored 27-4 in the transition game, which is, you're not going to win any games doing that.
That's tough.
And that's a stat that you look at, like I said, it's a back-to-back stat.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're on the road, you're traveling, you got no sleep the night before, and now you're playing a team that's really, really rested. You're going to lose a lot of those games.
So, we could talk all day about, what happened in these 2 games, but we're going to kick it off with a fun little segment that we call, Is Paul Overreacting? So what's going to happen here is Paul is going to give some kind of statement that he saw during the game, during the 2 games actually, and I'm going to give my opinion on is he overreacting or not. So he's got something special to see. So we're going to walk through. These are going to 100% reflect the 2 games on Friday and Saturday, and we're going to kind of break it down that way. So
just to be clear, these probably are overreactions. But are they? I don't know.
Which is what we want everyone else to think too.
Let us know if these are overreactions. Can we bench THT yet? Is it time to bench him or at least give him less than 10 minutes per game?
Yes.
That's an overreaction?
That is not an overreaction.
Okay. I thought so.
And again, respects to THT. We love every one of our Jazz guys, but the pace of the game when THT is in is really, really slow. You don't see a lot of fast breaks. Mm-hmm. You don't see a lot of movement. It gets really stagnant. And I think we were kind of reliant on him to be a scorer, and he hasn't been able to put the ball in the hoop very much. And as a passer, he's just not seeing the floor as well as we would.
That's the hard part. So if you look at his assists throughout the year through 3 games, really, I guess they don't look bad, especially for a point guard where there's a lot of good ball handlers on the floor, but he doesn't make the right pass all the time. And you see it where it's like, it's not a turnover and it's also not an assist, but it's just like, where are you going with the ball? And I feel like I'm saying that 3 times a quarter with him.
So I'm going to say not an overreaction.
Okay. I appreciate you backing me up on this one.
Of course.
You're not going to back me up on this one though. I don't think we can start Walker Kessler right now. I think we need to bring him off the bench. Do you want me to tell you the starting lineup I would have so you can like understand where to be with that?
Yeah, yes, I would enjoy that.
Keontae George at the 1.
Yep.
To replace THT.
Yep.
Jordan Clarkson.
Yep.
Larry Markkinen.
Yep.
John Collins.
Yep.
Kelly Olynyk.
Okay.
You hate it?
I don't hate it. I do not think this is an overreaction.
Really? I'm 2 for 2.
Yes, I take this back. This is absolutely is an overreaction.
Okay.
And the reason why is Walker Kessler has struggled.
Yeah.
You know, people are calling it a sophomore slump, which, you know, is not a common term for nothing. Mm-mm. You know, it's obviously, you know, a slang. And so, you know, I think he has struggled defensively. You don't see him getting as many blocks as he once did. Offensively, you know, he's kind of trying things that he hasn't, you know, obviously the 3 game, but I think just his movement in the offense is slow. A lot of people are saying that he misses Mike Conley.
Yeah.
And I like that because Mike Conley was a pass first player. And currently with the rotation that we have, our point guards, you know, I guess our starting point guard is not a pass first player. He's just not. And so it's hard for Walker Kessler to like live and thrive in that kind of offense without that kind of player in, as well as a pick and roll.
And that's why I think starting Keontae would develop Keontae enough. Because here's the thing, Walker's going to be our starting center going forward.
100%.
And I don't
He's a key piece.
I don't think him getting benched or even just coming off the bench is indicative to what we think of him long term. But I do think it gives Keontae a chance to really run the point with another guy that can pass the ball in Olynyk, to develop Keontae to a point where he's able to create enough offense, not only for the other 3 guys, but for Walker Kessler when he does get put back in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
And that's the idea with those 5 right there.
Okay.
My next one, Lauri Markkinen needs more than 25 shots per game. Right now, I believe he's averaging between 16 and 18 per game. I want to bump that up by 25%.
That is not an overreaction.
Are any of these overreactions? I feel like I thought I was overreacting to these.
Kessler definitely was an overreaction.
Okay.
But Lowry needs to shoot as much as possible.
Like, I don't want him passing up.
I mean, he started like 5 for 5 from 3 the other night.
Yeah.
And the reason why we need him to shoot is, one, he's just so confident. When he gets rolling, he gets rolling. And what that does is just open up the floor. You let him do his thing. And I mean, that's his game. He's not much of a passer. He's a rebounder. He can get to the hoop. And so I think by taking him out of that, you know, really, really makes the Jazz question what's going on. And, you know, actually, he shot under 20 shots, I want to say, against the Kings.
Yep.
And that is when we lost.
14.
He shot 26 times against the Clippers, which we won. And he shot less than 20 again versus the
He didn't
Suns.
play for the last 15 minutes of the game, I think.
But still.
Yeah, Lauri Markkinen shot more threes against the Clippers than he had total shots against the Kings. That's the one win the Jazz have this year.
And so if you look at that specifically, I mean, there is a pattern. Obviously, it's 3 games in, but there's a pattern that the more Lowry can shoot the ball, the probability of the Jazz winning goes up, which I personally enjoy.
I guarantee there's some correlation there. In fact, I'm going to dig into that tonight because I promise there is. The last one, and this is a really, really, I don't want to say bad overreaction because I love Will Hardy as a coach, but my overreaction is he is not a good defensive coach, and we need to bring someone onto the assistant staff that can help him. The Jazz have given up, this stat's going to blow you away, 85 games in a row without our opponent scoring under 100 points. Leads the league. 85 games in a row.
Stop it.
So that goes in.
Where do you even find a stat like that?
Actually, Craig Bullerjack, who's on the Jazz broadcast, said it. And I remember it last year.
Thanks, Bullerjack.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you. That means all 82 games last year,
wow,
the Jazz gave up over 100 and are 3 games this year.
Wow.
The last time the Jazz gave up less than 100 points, Quinn Snyder was our head coach. It's a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope everyone else at home is saying, wow.
It's a terrifying stat.
That's terrifying.
Which means our offense, but this is the good part of it though, our offense has to be really good to win a lot of games then, because we're not holding anyone under 100 points. But our offense is really good if Laurie shoots the ball. So I feel like all these overreactions kind of tie into each other.
As much as that stat screams not an overreaction, I still think it's an overreaction.
Really?
And the reason why is the league is just so good. I question how many other teams are in that same realm, right? Because majority of the time I see 100 on the box score with any team. Luka alone is putting up 49 every single night, and I think it's really hard for me to feel like a lot of teams aren't scoring 100. 100 is honestly the bare minimum. Like if you look at the stats, this last week, and we're looking at it right now, I guess I can see a couple teams that scored 100.
12 teams played yesterday, and 5 of the 12 did not score 100.
Wow.
That hasn't happened to the Jazz in over a year and a half.
Okay, I stand corrected. So this might be something we need to look into.
I think it's a stat worth watching. I don't know if it's indicative of how many games we're going to win this year, because our offense is going to be fine, but it is terrifying how little resistance we give the other team putting the ball in the basket.
Yeah, interesting.
Can we talk about Keontae George yet? Is it too early?
It's not too. It's never too early. As everyone can see, I am wearing a Keontae George jersey.
Looks great on you, by the way.
I purchased this on Friday. I just couldn't not do it. I just couldn't not. I go into that store, and honestly, there was only 3. Not a single other colorway. There was only white, and there was 3.
And you got one of them, and it fits great.
Oh, it fit great.
If you're listening to this, you should be watching this, but it looks great on you.
I love the white. I think it looks great. I think Keontae is an absolute star. I think people want to hear at home, is he going to start?
I hope he does.
And I absolutely hope he does.
So in one of my notes,
is he ready?
I don't know if he's ready. And I'm going to show you a play of the game here in a minute where I'm like, he might be ready. I wanted Colin Sexton. But during the first half of the Clippers game, I'm like, give me more Colin Sexton minutes. And then the second half, I was like, oh, just kidding. Maybe not Colin Sexton minutes
yet. He almost had a triple-double. Again, almost is really a stretch.
7 and 6. But Jazz players, how many days has it been since the last triple-double?
I can't tell you how many days, but I can tell you it's been since 2008.
Yeah. Carlos Boozer?
Boozer it was. Yeah. We had a playoff triple-double with Ricky Rubio, but a regular season triple-double has not happened for the Jazz since 2008 with Booze.
Man, that's a long time. I think Keontae's going to be the guy to break it.
We've had a player in the league average a triple-double for a whole season.
And we had him.
Yes.
Did you see the article that came out about Russ being open to staying in Utah?
I don't even, do I want to know?
You do want to know. It was actually really interesting. So they asked him before the Jazz game, hey, you were traded to Utah. Did you ever have any thought of staying? He never reported to Utah. He never caught a flight here, which is fine. But apparently him and Will Hardy and Danny Ainge were in a group message and constantly communicating. And Russ he said he was very open to it. He said, I can come here every day in street clothes and just mentor if you'd like me to. I'll play as hard as you want me to. I'll give you 40 minutes a night if you want me to. And it actually came down to Will Hardy and Danny Ainge saying, hey, we respect you enough to know that you want to go play in the playoffs, and we're not going to make the playoffs. So we'll waive you if you'd like. And Russ said, I really appreciate that.
Wow.
But if you guys do want me, let me know. So they sat for about a week until we waived him. If you remember.
Yeah, I do remember being on the edge of my seat.
And Russ was like, I'm open to playing. And Danny and Will are like, we didn't know you were open to playing. And then they ended up agreeing to waive him. But the fact that Russ was open to it is really, really cool.
This feels like a great time to smash the trust in Danny button.
Yes.
Because, that's a tough decision to make, but I think the respect there and kind of the decision moving forward of what we wanted our team to look like, I think that's a good one. So, but kind of going back to Keontae, he is putting up great numbers. Saturday he had his best game. He didn't shoot insanely well, but that's the thing is he got a lot of time at the end when they were down. He was just trying to force a lot of things. But he is absolutely special. He's shooting the ball. So the passes he makes, every time he passes the ball, I get chills. It is so crisp. It looks fantastic. This is starting to become a Keontae George show at this point. We're gonna go right into Paul's plays of the game. A segment that everybody knows and loves.
Let's do it.
Let's jump right in, and Paul's going to break down a specific play that went down for the the Suns game.
Two things about this play stood out to me. One, Lauri Markkanen is a really, really good rim defender, and you're going to see on this play. The second thing is, and we were just talking about Keontae's passing, and this is turning into the Keontae show, which I'm okay with.
I'm okay with that.
The pace he plays at and the multiple speeds, it's the hardest thing to guard in the NBA. I think De'Aaron Fox is one of the best at it, and we had trouble with it. But when you can go like full speed, stop, half speed, stop, back to full speed, just getting the defense off balance is all you need to do to really score in this league. And Keontae does it perfectly here. Let me set this up. All right, let's scrub through this. I'm going to play it one time all the way through, and then I'll break down how he changes speeds. Gets the rebound, comes up, and right there at the top of the key, you see it finishes on the left hand. Beautiful finish. I'm going to go back here and scrub through this. So great block by Lauri, which is really cool. I mean, the guy was kind of trapped. He had nowhere to go. Lauri, I'm glad he got that. Keontae grabs it.
That's athleticism if I've ever seen it.
Really good athleticism. So right here, you're going to see he goes full speed, beats Grayson Allen down. Right here, it's a 2-on-1. Eric Gordon's in a really tough spot.
What you do on a 2-on-1 really shows who you are as a player.
Yes.
I mean, that's where you excel. 2-on-1 for so many people seems like an easy thing to do. But as a defender, you're sitting there, you can jump one way. I mean, it's easier odds for the defender than people might think right off the bat.
Well, exactly. And if you look right here, the spacing is not good. Keontae's in the middle of the court. Chris Dunn's not even he's barely free throw line extended. It's not a good look. The fact that Keontae scores here is really impressive.
I'm a sucker for a Euro there. A fake there and go up. But the thing is I get caught on that 50% of the time, or I try that and I try and pass it after and it gets caught. People don't understand a 2-on-1 is actually way harder than
way harder, especially when you have a veteran like Eric Gordon right here. So Keontae's going full speed, slows down here. If he passes it, he might get the ball back, but it also gives time. Is that Grayson Allen or the lefty? I can't tell. Either way, if he passes it here, it's looking like that guy, excuse me, he might catch up. Right here, though, you see Eric Gordon start to lean forward. This is the most important part of the play. He starts to lean forward right here, and that's where Keontae attacks. One dribble into a Euro, or a half Euro, I guess, and wide open at the basket. Once he leaned forward, he knew that he could just take this all the way, and he could have passed it. But this is the aggression.
It looks like Eric Gordon overcommits right to his right.
Right.
So Keontae, by stepping with his left foot, gave him enough space to be able to then go around him with his right, because he's seeing the way that Eric Gordon's angled at him.
Again, he could have passed it here, but this is the aggression both of us love from Keontae. He just takes his right to the cup, puts the ball up, doesn't let Eric swipe at it, and just finishes right there.
And not only that, looks like that's Watanabe, right? Following him, right?
Yep.
And a lot of the times someone will try an up and under, will try some kind of crazy move or trying to pass or anything like that. Keontae just goes up strong.
Yep.
He's there, goes up with his left, can go up and just get that finish, and it goes right in. And I think that just goes to show him as a player. He's not afraid to attack and not afraid to, just go right at the basket and do his thing. So that's special, Paul.
That's a really good play by Keontae. Not a lot of rookies would make that play.
No.
A lot of veterans don't make that play. It's
a tough play.
Like you said, it's deceptively hard. A lot of players in the NBA can't make that play simply because the defense is really good. He makes it.
So, I want to put 2 and 2 together here. I see Keontae in one of those. I see Keontae in the other one. We want to hear from you guys. Do you think Keontae George should start? My answer is yes. I'm just going to literally speak for Paul here and say yes.
My answer is yes.
I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks. But yeah, I think that's an automatic lock. So we're going to take this, we've talked about the Clippers. We've talked about the Suns. Tonight, we play against the 3-0 Denver Nuggets.
A really, really good team.
The 2-time MVP, arguably should be 3-time MVP, Nikola Jokic. They are in a great team. Reigning champs. I bring up the MVPs, but they are the reigning champs.
They look like, and I'm not sure if you had a chance to catch any of that Thunder game yesterday, because I was really excited to see how this young Thunder team would catch the Nuggets, who know they have to travel back. There's a lot to touch on, but they look like the 2014 Spurs right now.
It's special.
They move the ball so well.
And they... I love how you said the Dolphins and the Kings there. And I honestly want to say the Nuggets are kind of the Chiefs.
Yes.
At their prime, right?
Yes.
Like a Super Bowl Chiefs. Like you've got, Mahomes is basically Jokic.
Yep.
And then you've got a guy like Kelsey who's basically Jamal Murray. Like
then it doesn't matter who you have around them.
No, that's the thing. And everybody else, like you have a guy like Michael Porter Jr., you have I want to emphasize Aaron Gordon, who did not have a role for the last couple of years in Orlando, and he goes to the Denver Nuggets, and he has an absolute elite role. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope goes to Denver and has an elite role. Christian Brown. I mean, there are DeAndre Jordan. There are plenty of guys on that roster that are automatically better because of the effect of Nikola Jokic.
Like Bruce Brown, who made generational wealth because he played with
literally
Nikola
generational
Jokic.
Wealth. The Pacers signed him for a massive contract,
2 years, $48 million,
because of what Jokic did for him. And honestly, Bruce Brown hasn't done anything in Indiana yet.
No, he hasn't, which is fine. I think he will.
I really honestly forgot that he was with Indiana.
Exactly, and that's because of Jokic.
And I think that's a perfect example. I mean, I think the Chiefs, Mahomes and Andy Reid does that. Mike Malone is fantastic.
Really good coach.
And so I think this is going to be a great matchup. And so we're going to kick it to Conjos Key to the game. And, there's a little thing I made up. It's the 2020 club tonight. So my key tonight is the 2020 club. What that means is Lauri Markkanen has to shoot 20 shots and Keontae George has to have 20 minutes. Naturally, we are not going to stop Nikola Jokic. That is not going to happen. And we have arguably the biggest Jazz killer in the league right now in Jamal Murray. Again, Donovan Mitchell's not here, so it's kind of, not this chip on our shoulder to outscore him anymore. Yeah. But Jamal Murray's an absolute Jazz killer, and I think he's going to, come at us tough. It's in Denver as well, 5,280 feet up there, so it's different. So, I'm excited to see how it goes, but, I think if we can get, like we said earlier, getting Lauri 20 shots is an absolute must. I do not think it's even possible for us to win if Lauri Markkanen does not shoot 20 times. And Keontae George played 27 minutes against the Suns. But again, that's a lot of garbage time.
Think he came out until 3
garbage time. But with the Clippers, he played like 9 to 12. And so it's, I think, in a highly competitive game, and highly competitive team like the Nuggets, it is going to be extremely crucial for that 2022 to happen. So my prediction, Paul, is going to be, an easy one. 112-105, Jazz take the dub. Might sound crazy, but this, I think, the averages play out. I think it's going to be, the Nuggets are 3-0 and they're tired. They're coming off that back-to-back against the Thunder. Jokic and Murray each played 30 minutes. So I think the Jazz are going to get the best of them tonight. We also tend to play, to the competitive ability of our opponents. And so, I think they're going to come out hot. I think we're going to come out hotter and want it. So Jazz, take it. We're going to be 2-2, move the Denver Nuggets back to 3-1. And that's it. So, we're super happy. We're gonna see it. So, kicking it off, this is going to be every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we'll catch you back on Wednesday. I'm super excited about it. Like and subscribe. Would love for you guys to hit that button there. So, we'll catch you back on Wednesday. This has been, the STLK in the UTA Jazz Podcast. Conjo, this is Paul, and we'll catch you on Wednesday.